Happy set apart day of Ahaya. This is the set apart, beautiful day of our Father He has given to us. The day of rest He has declared from the foundation of the world. I am grateful and so ecstatic to be with you all today. We have beautiful word to share. The Father has given me, woke me up very early, and then allowed me to go back to rest. But before I start the lesson, I want to play a song by Jeremiah Gayang called See Them Coming Back. It is the instrumental version to his song he did a while ago. Please enjoy, and then shortly we'll begin the scriptures. It's that fire from the side. Oh, that's my people. Oh, that's my people. Hey, that's right. No copyright. I see all that my people. I all that my people. See them coming back. Young sons and daughters coming back. They are coming back from the nation of earth. They are coming back. Every situation, mental plan for assimilation. Sell a conversation that will everyone's redemption. See them coming back. The kings of the earth, they be coming back. Jay-Z be coming back. The answer to be coming back. Oh. Destruction and rejection. See me coming back. The answer the most like coming back. Not the girl that is coming His brother sang from his heart. Come and get this water.
His mercy. Israel, wake up, wake up. He's coming back. Judah, wake up. Your lion is coming back. Soldiers waiting for our God. I got a soldiers waiting for my Savior.
See all my notes up this
See them coming, they never coming back. Out of Babylon coming back, they never coming back. Out of affliction coming back, yeah we never come, we coming back. Out of the hell coming back,
that's right.
we coming back. From Esau hand we were coming back, yeah we were coming back. From Ishmael hand we were coming back,
that's right.
We coming back.
Hey.
Some says that coming back, yeah we coming back. Back to the Most High coming back. You will come to a higher coming back. You will come to a higher coming back. To the hills of Zion coming back. You will come coming back. You will coming back. Will come with a Passover, angel of destruction. Yes, Passover, angel of destruction.
That's right. You know what's
Passover, my family. Passover, my family. Passover, my family. Passover, your remnant. Passover, remnant of a higher. Oh, you coming. Oh, Passover, 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 over. Passover, over. A higher is my cover. A higher is my cover. A higher is my cover. Yes, higher is my cover. Passover, 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 Passover. Will come, will come, will come, will come, will come, Will they come, will they come, will they coming? Yeah, will they come, will they come, will they coming?
Bless the high of my soul and all that's within me. Bless his holy set apart name. Happy set apart day, family. I am so excited and extremely thrilled of what the Father has for me to share with you all today. As you see, the title is called Bondman versus Free. And we're going to get into a beautiful breakdown that I was even thrilled and excited to have him share with me approximately like around 5 or 6 in the morning. And I was able to get some sleep. So I'm fully energized and ready to bring this lesson with you all. So before we do, as we are commanded to blow the shofar on the set apart day of the Father and the feast day, so we're going to go ahead and blow the shofar. One more time. Blessed be all my soul and all that's within me. Bless his holy set apart name. So I have, I think it's I feel that it's a poem from the Father of expression that is going to go into the lesson to give you all his heart. Right quick, let me get something. So the first scripture I will be reading will be out of Psalms 104. Okay, but I want to read the poem to you all first. And I'm going to go ahead and put the thing not on me so that you can really hear. I want you to really just get your mind on what I'm saying. All right. Bless the high on my soul. So the first part is going to be his thoughts, and the second part is going to be him speaking. All right. A man born in earth is bound for the sin of Eve, but Jerusalem, which above, is free. Mother of us all, I look to Jerusalem from the dust that the Creator I am has formed me. Again, the quickening of renewal calls me to be a son and daughter, no longer a bondman to the curse, earth, a servant of freedom. Here's the Father's questioning. And scripture for this can be also found. Well, I'll give a scripture after I read it. Where is creation with the covenant I made with Noah? Thus saith Ahiah, they have forgotten me. Oh, Ahiah, for the hatred we all have shown, I am determined to love you. I will love you. I pray to stay loyal to you. My vow is my life undefiled for unto you. But the question he asked me is, where is creation with the covenant? Are they free or are they bound? Isaiah 34. Isaiah 34, verses 1 through 2. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of Ahai is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their families. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Now we must begin the lesson. Genesis chapter 2. Verses 7. And Ahiah, the husbandman, formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And Ahiah the husbandman planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made Ahiah the husbandman to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Verse 17 of Genesis 2. But of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. In the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. And Ahiah, the husbandman, said, It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. And out of the ground, Ahiah, the husbandman, formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So Ahiah, the creator, planted a garden by his word, established the garden by his word, and placed man in the garden. While man was obedient, while Adam was obedient to the Creator's commandment, he had authority and possession. His words were able to name the beast. And while he had the breath of Ahiah inside of him, he was a living soul. Out of the ground, Ahiah made the earth and everything to grow. So man became living by Ahiah's breath. All other creation came forth by his word. All the trees that was pleasant to the eye and good for food, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because Ahiah planted and is the creator of creation, he knew and knows what is safe for man, what they needed and what they should not have. So he gave command. With every time he gave authority, he gave a command with the rules if it was to be broken, or the judgment thereof. Verse 15 of Genesis chapter 2. And Ahiah the husbandman took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So the command he gave to Adam was to dress and to keep the garden. Ahiah wants all creation to see and know the effects we have on earth, from which we come, and also every beast. Now we know in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, Daniel saw a vision of kingdoms that was without his law and order and statute was identified by beast. Man that Ahiah breathed into, Adam was made to have dominion. There is a nation he chose for himself to have dominion. Verse 11 in Daniel 7. I want to start up a bit. Yep, let's go to verse 3 of Daniel 7. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld, till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Man's desire was given to this kingdom. It's like sounding like the kingdom of Nimrod. When we were reading about the two Babylons, remember the speech he was trying to promote was freedom by the which doing what man will, living freely and happy with no fear of the consequences and judgments of the Creator. So when it says man's heart was given to him, that's what is speaking of, that kingdom. Verse 5, and behold another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on the one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. The kingdom that was of the establishments of war, destructions. I'm not identifying the nations right now by the beast. I'm bringing the clarity according to each beast characteristic. Verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another. Because the point here is the Father gave Adam dominion by his command. Dress and keep the garden. All possession of everything in the garden is yours, but just don't touch this one tree. As long as he obeyed that, he kept his dominionship. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, as we also read in the book of the Babylons, the two Babylon people worship. It explains how the leopard was referenced in the kingdoms of wicked rulership, how it would mean that one was a mighty hunter. So after you read about the beast which devoured much flesh, that was the outcome of why they would wear the cheetah, or leopard rather, because one that was wearing leopard was seen as a mighty hunter.
Mommy, they have a taco.
Okay, give me a second. Give me a second, man. And do you remember his soft shell from yesterday? Okay, good. Warm it up, princess. Thank you. All right. So when we were reading out of the book of the Babylonian people worship, like I was stating, the leopard clothing attire was to be identifying factor for all those around to see a person as a mighty hunter. And they used the leopard as what you would say today, even slave dogs. You know, how they would hunt our people down, or greyhound or something like that. I'll say hunting dog. Excuse me. No. Verses 7. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron. The exceedingly strength of this fourth beast is due to the expansion of it and the kingdoms that are a part of it to uphold it. and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Also, in the book of the Babylon and the people worship, it also explained that they would have horns to represent their strength. So the horns are representing their power of source of strength. We know their strength and their power is not of Ahia. It did not come through righteousness, nor, yes, we know that the Father appoints men as leaders, but to fulfill the word written and give it to his prophets. Verse 8. And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns, plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and mouth speaking great things, plucked up by the roots. That is beautiful. You see, when you read in Daniel 7, verses 8, and it says plucked up by the roots, the plucking up of the kingdom is due to the word going forth. Let me tell y'all something right now. No more prayer. What about yourself? What about yourself? Don't disturb nothing. You understand me? So the word, the basically, according to prophetic breathing, the breath of the Most High, when you read in Ezekiel 37, he said, prophesy to these bones that they may live. So after the prophecy of the breath of the Holy Spirit, because prophecy is the word of the Father through man. It's the breath of the Father being, manifesting out of man. Because remember, in the beginning, in Genesis 2, it says that he formed man of the dust, and man became a living soul after he breathed into him. So in Adam, he was not just a man, but the breath of the Father was in him, which means the word of the Father was also placed into him. He was made to automatically conform to the word of the Creator. As he breathes, as easy as it is breathing, so shall it have been for him to obey the commandment, to do what he was made to do, which was to have dominion and to keep the garden. And we're going to go back to that in a second. Back in verse 8, it says, pluck up by the roots, right? Remember, Yeshua said that anything my Father has not, he already laid the foundation. I have to read Psalm 104. Father, have mercy on me. Psalms 104, is it 24? Yes, Psalm 104, 24. O Ahia, how manifold are thy works, in wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. In wisdom, we understand in the wisdom of Solomon, it says that the wisdom is his word. So by his word, by the richness of his word, because remember, and even in Psalms, David said, I sought out your word far more higher than riches and gold and silver. Tie it around your neck, as you know, it is it shall be a crown upon your head. And let me get that. I don't want to just scroll. I'm going to show you something. Yes. Proverbs. And it says, okay. Let's just do Proverbs 2 and I'll proceed. Okay. Proverbs chapter 2, verses 3. Oh, no, verse 2. Let's just go with verse 1. My son, thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge and lift up thy voice for understanding, if thou seek wisdom as silver, and searcheth for wisdom as for hid treasures. Whose wisdom? The Father's wisdom. Then shalt thou understand the fear of Ahiah, and find the knowledge of the keeper. For Ahiah giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. There we have it. So back to Daniel 7. When you read in verse 8, plucked up by the roots. The roots is the establishment, the foundation of this kingdom. I want to give you another precept on their root system. Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32. We're going to be really moving a lot today, so I don't want to have you doing too much. If you want to listen, so be it, write them down. You can do that. All right. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. And this is why he's going to tread them in his anger. Okay. Now, back to Daniel chapter 7, verses 8. And behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of man. So eyes in the scriptures represent watchers, which is watchers represent prophets, seers. Okay. And so the eyes of man, which means the prophets of man that speak from their own hearts, speak from their own religions or understandings, basically made up stuff, things contrary to the word. We're going to see that. And mouth speaking great things. So the mouth speaking great things are the blasphemous words against the Most High. So there's prophets. So this kingdom is not just, this beast is, after there was much destruction of flesh, this beast is coming to finish off the thing and seal the job. And they see if you can, as you hear the characteristics of these beasts, if the Father through the Holy Spirit, his spirit, can give you a vision or understanding, clarity on which beast this is. See, people have always been able to identify them by the nations, by the bears and all that. But it's time to identify these kingdoms, the beasts, by their character inside of the word. Okay. Speaking great, and eyes of man and out of the mouth speaking great things. So these messengers and prophets are the basically the gospel and the doctrine that has destroyed and has brought destruction to his people. That's what the intention is. And plus it was written that they shall go into a land and serve gods of wood and stone that neither our fathers have known. Verse 10, after that, well, I skipped verse 9, y'all. Verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. The plucking up of the roots is what we're actually in now. By the elect and the chosen, bringing out the proper scriptures through the Spirit of the Father, it's uprooting the foolish foundation of their, what does it say in Deuteronomy 32? 32? I know I left it there. It says, for their vine is of the vine of Sodom and the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is poison of dragons and cruel venom of asp. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among my treasures? So we see that their foundation has to be uprooted because it's not righteous. It's not after the command of the Creator. So we uproot as his chosen, his the army of him are out here uprooting to make the ground fertile. You know, when you like about to plant some flowers or whatever like that, before you have to plant, it's best that you uproot the weeds, and just work the soil to get it ready for the seed to go in. It's talking about breaking up that fallow ground, right? So what is happening now is necessary. It's even mentioned in Isaiah chapter 9, before the king comes to root his new kingdom on this earth, which has been ordained before the foundations of the world. Isaiah 9. I'm going to take my time because he gave me a lot. And I don't want to make nobody choke. I ain't trying to choke myself. Verse 7 of Isaiah 9. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of Ahijah of hosts will perform this. Ahijah sent a word unto Jacob, into Jacob, and have lightened upon the house of Joseph. Well, Jacob, basically, because Jacob is the house of Joseph. So there again, it doesn't make sense to say upon that. Basically, it's Jacob, the children of Jacob. And all the people shall know, even Ephraim and the inhabitant of Samaria, that say, in the pride and stoutness of heart. So the uprooting is for all people to know. Right now, people do not know the truth. People have received the truth according to the word by the great speeches that came out of the mouth of the beast. Okay? Which was mentioned over here in verse 8. Great, speaking great things. And before it spoke great things, who did it? The watchers and the so-called prophets of man. When you say prophets of man, it's because clearly they speak what is pleasing to man. Remember, in the first piece, it says that unto him was given, verse 4, it says, sent upon his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So the first beast was bringing man's desire to this beast, which was worshipped, which had rulership, dominion. And because it had dominion, it gave man's desires dominion over the commandment of Ahijah that he even gave to Adam. He gave Adam command with dominionship. To have dominionship with no order is of the rebellious ones. Ahijah did not ordain for any of his sons or his daughters to have dominionship without his obedience, without obedience to his command. Verse 9, back in Daniel 7. And it says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, the thrones of those beasts, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was as white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000s times 10,000 stood before him, and judgment was set, and the books were opened. You see why, after we mentioned the plucking up, then the thrones were cast down. So we already know that the ruling powers of darkness, they already know what time it is. By the awakening of Jacob, that is the clock that unleashes. And this is why we say, you want to know prophecy, you must know who the people are to watch and know the clock and the tables of the Creator. Those who do not know his people, you will not recognize when they're speaking things according to prophecy as they're supposed to be speaking. And as they speak, it is the breath of the Father coming out of them by his word. And it comes out as fire. It is consuming those who are not of him. And they're turning into chaff to soon be swept away. Now, back to Genesis chapter 2. That was just my meaning of mentioning the beast. Notice the interpretation of these beasts. Well, the vision was given to Daniel, but the book was told to be sealed up to Daniel until the times come. So that means the books will be open at a certain time for those who do what? Simply do the uprooting. They're going to be the ones identifying and sounding the alarm on these kingdoms. That's how they're uprooted. By the prophetic word being spoken against these kingdoms. Well, kingdom, it's actually one of these beasts that are a part of the same kingdom, which is the kingdom of darkness. As even our King Yeshua said in Matthew 24, kingdom against kingdom. So, out of the ground, Ahia made everything to grow by his word. And man became living by Ahia's breath. All other creation came forth by his word. All the trees, everything like that. Man that Ahia breathed into, Adam, was made to have dominion and show forth his judgment too. Because in dominionship, if anything is violation of the Creator's law, he was given the authority to bring forth the Father's judgment. However, judgment came to Adam due to the disobedience through Eve. Also, like I just stated, judgment will be coming to the beast for the blasphemy. So we see the Father is not slack or short in his righteous judgments. That when Adam disobeyed, he gave him evictions out. The Father uprooted Adam from the very soil he was taken from. Now let's go over here to, let's see, I want to get more on Eve really quick. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's go to Genesis chapter 17. Okay. Now I'm going to read Psalm 104. Just keep your Genesis 17 in place. I'm going to read Psalm 104. Okay. Bless Ahia, O my soul, O Ahia, my husbandman, keeper of my soul. Thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who covers thyself with light as with a garment, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. See that? Highlight that. Verse 4. He makes his ministers a flaming fire. Keep that in mind. Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Thou coverest it with the deep, as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys, unto the place which thou hast founded for them. Thou hast set a bound, that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. He sendeth the springs into the valleys, which run among the hills. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild asses quench their thirst. By them shall the fowls of the heaven have their habitation, which sing among the branches. See something right there. Yeah, we're talking, it's speaking about animals, right? Remember the scripture that says he gives his son light. He gives, the Father is gracious to the good and the bad. That's the grace that we see, how he has been gracious to all the kingdom, the kingdom of righteous and kingdom of darkness. He has given them dominionship, which means he has given them the opportunity to rule. But by the fowls, remember that parable says the sower soweth the good seed, but the fowls came and took the word. So the fowls representing in parable are talking about the unclean spirits that go to and fro to steal the word, so that it is not able to bring forth fruit. But so it says, they give drink to every beast of the field. The wild asses quench their thirst. The wild beast quench their thirst. They're satisfied. They quench. By them shall the fowls of the heaven have their habitation. So by the wild beast is how the wicked fowls, aka spirits of the fallen, lay their habitation, abode, because they cannot, their habitation is no more above. They're no longer able to fly, to go above, to a heaven, their original place. So they said that they are going to set up their throne and their habitation in the kingdoms of darkness, to make it, since their whole intentions was to bring forth wickedness, has caused them to leave their abode. They basically established their abode by their wickedness they have been cast out by. Which sing among the branches. He watereth the hills from his chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. Remember, in Deuteronomy 11, he stated that if our nation does not obey his commandments and hearken diligently unto his voice, he will not give the rain. And if the rain is not given, the earth cannot yield its fruit. So the earth is satisfied with the fruit of the works of righteousness, not satisfied by desolation or barrenness or deserted famine of rain being withheld. So we talk about the works of righteousness versus the wild beast works and what their works do for the fowlers of the air. He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth, due to their works, by their works. And wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. The trees of Ahiah are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon which he hath planted, where the birds make their nests, as for the stork. The fir trees are their house. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and the rocks for the conies. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun north is going down. Thou makest darkness, and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. The young lions roar after their prey, and seek their meat from Ahiah. Keep your soul. The sun ariseth, they gather themselves together, and lay them down in their dens. Man goeth forth unto his work, and to his labor until the evening. O Ahiah, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. So is the great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein. These wait all upon thee, that thou mayest give them their meat in due season. That thou givest them, they gather. Thou openest thy hand, they are filled with good. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die and return to the dust. Now, as we remembered in the beginning of Genesis chapter 2, verses 7, he breathed into man and he became living. When he takes away his breath, we die and return to the dust. Remember in Ezekiel 37 concerning dry bones. Bones that are dry must be exposed, have no skin, have no life. So as a nation, the breath of the Father was taken from us. Even David said, I will return to the dust, quicken thou me, in Psalm 119. Verse 30, thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. See that? When he renewed the face of the earth, understanding that means he renewed the people who were tied to the earth, just like Adam. When Adam sinned, it brought forth in the land a curse. Let's read that. Genesis 2, I believe it's 15. Genesis 3. Let's see, Genesis 3. Okay. Verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and bruise thy head. Okay, no, it's verses 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree which I have commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. So the ground was cursed because of the sin of Adam. Just like he told our nation in Deuteronomy 11, he will curse, he would not bring forth the rain in its due season, that our crops the earth may yield its fruit. So now we are seeing a pattern here. Now we understand how effective, and this is what the Creator wants me to bring to y'all's attention. Our attention is that we must see the effect that we have on creation. And this is why he asked me, where is creation with the covenant I made with Noah? Well, we got to go back to that covenant they made with Noah to get understanding. What is he saying? Okay. Genesis chapter 8, verses 20. And Noah built an altar unto Ahiah, and took of every clean beast, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. Verse 21. And Ahiah smelled a sweet savor. And Ahiah said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing, as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Genesis 9, verse 1. And Ahiah, the keeper, husbandman of our soul, blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So as he commanded Adam to be fruitful, multiply, and replenish, and to dress the earth, so did he establish with Noah. You see, the Father is faithful. He has always give dominionship, authority, a blessing to man with his command. But we know his word is tried. As we to see today, with the sons of Adam who populated and replenished the earth, They have not remembered and kept. We have not kept our end of the bargain. Creation has forgotten Creator and neglect and abandoned his commands. Back to Psalms 104. Verse 30. Thou sendest forth thy spirit. They are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. See that? He sent forth his spirit. He sent forth his word. For Yahshua says, the words that I speak to you, they are spirit and they are life. So his spirit is life, which is his breath as he breathed into man. And without his breath and his spirit, which is the same thing, man is dead. So when we as a nation, when the nation of Jacob was trodden down underfoot of man, we were like pressed to the dust, pressed to the ground. We were as to them nothing. As the same mindset our ancestors had and we've had when we disregarded his word, it was trampled in our minds as nothing. So when man disregards his word, man is disregarded. I ain't say mankind, I said man. Verse 31, the glory of Ahia shall endure forever. Ahia shall rejoice in his works. He looketh on the earth, and it trembleth. He toucheth the hills, and they smoke. I will sing unto Ahia as long as I live. I will sing praise to my keeper, husbandman of my soul, while I have my being. My meditation of him shall be sweet. I will be glad in Ahia. Let the singers be consumed out of the earth. Sorry. Let the sinners be consumed out of the earth, and let the wicked be no more. Bless thou Ahia, O my soul. Praise ye Ahia. And when we say let the sinners be removed and the wicked, that's so that for the earth no longer has to bear the wicked, because when the wicked and the sinners are in the earth, it affects the creation, the earth. The earth is affected by sinners, and this is why things on the earth are going chaotic. People think the main reason why things are all out of sorts is because it's signs he's coming. That's the signs of the earth and mourning is due to the sin, the signs of sinners, the signs of wicked. Now I have another video from Chave Weather today, an update I want to share with you all. Let me see if I can share the screen like this. All right. I tried, I guess not. So what I'll do is turn the camera, because I haven't learned how to do that yet. It's gonna be all right. Chave Weather daily videos uploaded. Flooding causes roads to collapse, and I don't even know how to say this place, but here we have it.
This brilliant device stops
Bear with me for this ad.
and gives you super fast Wi-Fi anywhere and anytime.
Look at this. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. They find that funny. They think it's cool. Until one of them fall into the hole. The ground is literally giving in. In the word, we know that the earth opened up and swallowed some people out of the wilderness due to their murmuring, complaining, and disobedience and speaking against the Most High. So when one sees these type of things on channels on YouTube, and the first thing they say is Jesus is coming back, had not these things happened, while these things weren't really happening, what other prophecies were you able to identify his approaching? See, those that identify, like I stated, the earth in mourning, by him coming back, how can you spot that in the word? When we read in Psalms 104, verse 35, that's the reason why. Let sinners be consumed out of the earth. In other words, get out of here, sinners. It's time for the sin to stop affecting his creation. Let the wicked be no more. Bless thou Ahia, O my soul. Praise ye Ahia. Now, back to the scriptures. So I want to get back to over here. Let's get to Genesis chapter 17. Okay. We're going to talk about the covenant he established with our forefather Abraham. Yes, our forefather. Okay. That's right. He's our forefather. As America has their founding fathers, which are the presidents, okay, dead demons, the children of Jacob's forefathers, fathers that are founded of Ahia, are established by his covenant, and through his promises we shall obtain that which he has written and spoken concerning his children. Bless Ahia, O my soul. That is beautiful to me. Genesis 17. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Ahia appeared to Abram and said, I am that I am, the mighty husband, the mighty keeper. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and you and will multiply you exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and Ahia, the keeper, husbandman, talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name be any more called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. So he gave him his word by telling him what he was going to do with Abraham, how he was going to establish Abraham, right? Verse 7, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, and their generations, for an everlasting covenant. Look at that. Do we understand that the covenant he established with Abraham is an everlasting covenant? So when Yeshua came, the Savior, it was nothing really new. It was renewed. It was the same covenant that we caused to be in effect by the works of flesh, for in that the flesh, the law could not do, be perfect by flesh. So Yeshua, by him being a spirit of the Father, he being the manifestation of the Father, coming in flesh, brought forth the works of the Spirit, made the law be complete. Okay? To undo the destruction by the sin of Adam. Because see, Adam's activity through his wife Eve, who leaned to her own understanding, something like our foremother Sarah, and we're going to get to that, brought forth sin. And this is why the title is called Bondman versus Free. When the Father said, oh, I ain't going to get too ahead. Let me stay in chorus. I just be so, y'all, this is a blessed lesson. Like, I am so truly have been blessed by the Father when he woke me up this rising with this word. And I pray that you guys are being edified in your understanding. If there is any questions or anything to add, you'd be free to do so, as long as it is in context and in the subject of what we're talking about. Right? Verse 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, thy seed after thee, in their generations, for an everlasting covenant. So what is after Abraham? Faith. He was the father of many nations by what? By his faith. So he says the seed after thee, he's saying the seed after your faith. Not saying just the seed after their whatever. That automatically lets you know what the Father, who he's going to call, who this promise is going to go through to and throughout the generations. In each generation, the covenant is established with those of the faith of Abraham. Okay. To be a keeper unto thee and to thy seed after thee. He said it again. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their keeper. And the keeper, when you say Ishi Elohim, is basically the keeper of our soul. Okay. I said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore you and your seed after thee in their generations. Commandment, just like he gave with Adam, keep the garden and dress it. Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore you and your seed after their generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house or brought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. Do we understand? Isaac was the first one to be circumcised according to after the 8 days. This is why, notice he said this. He already knows that Ishmael's already, while he's giving this word, he already knew Sarah was going to come forth out of her own understanding, out of her own flesh, and establish what she wants to establish her covenant by her word and her understanding. Okay? Now let's continue to read. That's why he said, after 8 days old, okay, shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house and he that is bought with money must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man whose flesh is of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. And Ahiah the keeper said unto Abraham, as for Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and shall be a mother, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Understand that is very important, family. He said it to Abraham, our father, verse 6, and to the Sarah, spoken of concerning Sarah in verse 15. Kings shall come of you, kings shall come of her. That basically them two together make a king. All right. Now, let's get the one where he says Hagar, prince. All right. Alright, so let me get my apocrypha. Alright, we're gonna need apocrypha as well, family, because we're gonna need to go to Ecclesiasticus. Alright. After I get done proving this point, I want to go to Ecclesiasticus 25, 24. But before we do that, I want to proceed. Alright. So as Sarah was blessed a mother of nations, Eve is the mother of all living. Okay. Okay, so he's can go ahead and proceed. All right, so I'm going to get that now. Matter of fact, Ecclesiasticus 25, verses 24. And it says, let's start at verse 23. Let's start at verse 22. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. So for Eve to have been approached to have wisdom and knowledge, unbeknownst to her by the serpent, it was for her to maintain her husband, because her husband didn't touch this tree. Her husband wasn't aware or eyes open to what she was open to. So it frustrated her and angered her when she came unto Adam and she's talking of some language that she's aware of things that he wasn't aware of. And so because she was aware of it, she wanted to maintain him by having him be on her level rather than her being subject to him, where the Father has set and ordained him to be on his dominionship. This is where the bitterness comes from. This is also a part of the curse of that knowledge that crept in through Eve. The knowledge of good and evil. Verse 23. A wicked woman abateth the courage, maketh an heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress, maketh weak hands and feeble knees. 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. If she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce, and let her go. And because even Adam stated that she shall be flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone, and they were one when married, the Father had to cut them both off and give them a bill of divorce out of the Garden of Eden. The Father did not see, not only that, but had Adam put her back in her place, the punishment would have probably just most likely fell upon Eve. But at the same time, the Father still sees them as one. As even he told Moses, this people, your people, are stiff-necked. You read that in Exodus, how the Father would speak to Moses as though Moses was doing the sin, but yet it was the people. And that made Moses angry as well. As well as it says, oppression makes a wise man mad. Because the wise understand the simple thing is to obey. But the wicked and the simple, they pass on and soon bring destruction. Now, let's proceed reading out of Genesis 17. And let's come over here to, all right, verse 17, okay? Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto Ahiah, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. Yes, I need to go back. Yep, yeah, because Genesis 16, yep, Ishmael was brought forth. Yep, thank you, Father. Let's go back really quick. Genesis 16. And I want us to look at the actions of Sarah and see if we see similarities of our foremother Eve. Okay. Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abram, behold, now I have restrained me from bearing. Really, what she's saying is, I'm being restrained in this time that I'm supposed to wait for this word to manifest. This is what you call impatience. This is lacking a fruit of patience. We'll hear the word, but those that have patience possess their souls. So through your patience, possession your souls. So when the word is given, though it may tarry, wait for it. It shall perform that which he said. Okay. So we see our foremother Sarah was getting a bit impatient here. She's thinking that she's being restrained. I pray thee, go in unto my maid, that it may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah. No different than our father, our forefather Adam. Here it is, Eve being disobedient, brought her disobedience to her husband. Rather than husband rebuke, husband takes heed. Now here it is, Sarah, in her impatience, disregarding and lightly esteeming the word that the father spoke. He said, I will bring you a child. Remember, in verse 15, verse 3. And Abram said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir. And behold, the word of Ahiah came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own, thou shalt be thy heir. See, he already told him. Back to Genesis 16. And he went into verse 4. Oh, did I read verse 3? Yeah, and Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar. Yeah, let me read verse 3. And Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife. So to establish covenant, because by that act is a covenant establishment. Remember, over here with Ahiah, he's telling Abraham, I need the foreskin to be cut. So flesh was the initiation of the foreskin being cut, was the initiation of the father establishing his covenant with man. With Adam, he formed him by the dust. With Abraham, he's giving his command to circumcise your foreskin. This was the intimacy between the father and Abraham. So here it is, Sarah is making herself to be unto, like what you would say, a goddess, and usurping herself by her word unto her husband to undermine the word of the father by a lack of patience to bring forth a child out of covenant that's not according to the promise of the father. Verse 4. And when he went unto Hagar, she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, hi, baby, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
My Android's backward.
Okay, can you Take them down. Put them the right way. Come here. Let me help you. I'll help you. All right. Come here. Come here. Zebediah. Come on. Mommy has to finish what I was doing. Okay.
Mom, the phone dying. I can't do anything.
You can just listen to the word behind.
Oh, Mom, there's nothing to do. I wanted to watch Chucky and get scared.
Zebediah. Please be obedient. You're doing so good, okay? Look at your nice little. All right, back to the word. Genesis 16. Okay, so let's pay attention to this part here. So, verse 4. And when he went unto Hagar, she conceived, and when she saw Sarah that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So, after she brought forth disobedience in her eyes, as it said with Eve, well, it looked desirable to her eyes. It seemed, okay, I'm not going to surely die. I don't see why he doesn't want me to have this knowledge or what it could hurt me. In Sarah's eyes, I don't see what's wrong with my husband bringing forth, a child on behalf for me. But yet, when she conceived, she's like, wait a minute. What she despising was, is this the seed that the father was basically talking about to come through by Hagar? But think about it, Sarah. You're the one who out of your own heart spoke for your husband, Abraham, our father, to come forth and bring this child, this seed, by the bondwoman. Let's read on. And Sarah said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. I had judged between me and thee. Oh, excuse me, Father. So the mistress despised Sarah. Like, you couldn't even bring forth his child. It's this high-minded stuff. Thank you, Father, for correction. And she's supposed to be having the child for Sarah. Remember, she's a maid, but her maid mindset started getting something like Vashti. She started wanting to be feeling herself in the house of those who were keeping her. Just like Eve wanted to be feeling herself in the garden that the father has provided for her under the jurisdiction of her husband. Here she wants to undermine. So Sarah, undermining the father by her own heart, brought forth her own brought forth this the maid, the mistress, to despise her. She brought that on herself. And sometimes us women and men, when we do things out of our own understanding and our own heart, we will bring forth trouble to ourselves. And we always like to run to the Father and be like, fix it, fix it, fix it. But Father will be like, oh, I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. And for the most part, you're going to have to live with your choice. You're going to have to deal with that. You have to deal with what you opened the door to. Well, it gets better. Let's read on. And we know it gets better. Oh, I got the hiccups. Father, help me. All right, verse 5. And Sarah said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee. Thank you, Father. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. A higher judge between me and thee. So she basically saying, my wrong's upon you now. Because now that you lay with her, now she looking at me wicked. And that's not righteous. See, you know this is a sister right here. Hold up now, hold up. I don't know why she give me them funny looks over there. I'm the one that said she can lay with you. And now you got the nerve to be looking at me sideways? No, you not that you the bondwoman. Okay. Verse 6. But Abram said unto Sarah, behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Okay, that's your maid. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. So she said, okay, I'm gonna be a little, you want to get nasty with me? I'm gonna do unto you as you want to do unto me. You want to give me, mind you, Sarah is of age. Yes, she's still beautiful. Yes, indeed, she is gorgeous. But you're not supposed to be unruly with your master, Hagar. And the angel of Ahiah found her by the fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence camest thou? Where you come from? And where you going? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarah. And the angel of Ahiah said unto her, return to thy mistress and submit thyself under her hand. See there? So the Most High sent rebuke to her. And the reason why Sarah had to do it harshly, because after she started giving funny eyes, she thought she was too better. Oh, I'm too pregnant. I'm sorry. I can't do that. Excuse me? You gonna serve me? Yes, you will. She, by bearing the seed to Abraham, thought that she automatically became no longer a maiden to Sarah. Because remember, you read here, it says, and she took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after her Abram had dealt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. So lying with her was wifing her. But yet, you gave her to be a wife, but yet you still want her to be the maid. See, this is a instability here. This is double-minded right here. And now the ways thereof of this individual maiden is double-mindedness. It's unsolid. It's unstable. And the angel of Ahiah said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of Ahiah said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because I have heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the issue that spake unto her, thou El seest me. For she said, I seen also here looked after him that seeth me. Let me read it again. And she called the name of the issue that spake unto her, thou El seest me. For she said, have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Beer-lahai. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name, which Hagar bare, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. Now, let's go back to Genesis 17 and come with me down here to verse 19. And Ahiah said, Sarah, thy wife, shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. See there? Ishmael is the one who begots princes. Abraham will beget kings. Out of Sarah will begot kings. When he told Hagar, I will make him a great nation or multiply him, he didn't say out of you, I will make princes. He said out of Abraham. Understand that. Woman cannot establish seed. So you Jewish people talking about my mother's Jewish, you don't even make sense over here with the father talking about covenant establishments. There's no such thing as that. The only woman he acknowledged a covenant by was Sarah, but she's not the progenitor. She's the mother who he called as the wife to Abraham. He did not call Hagar to wife unto Abraham. In other words, the bondman is not who he's establishing his covenant with. It's the freedman. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee. Verse 21. At this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with them. And Ahiah went up from Abraham. Abraham took Ishmael his son and all that were born in his house and brought forth his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the self same day, as Ahiah had said unto him. Now, let's go to Genesis 21. All right. Now, verses 21, let's start over here at verses 8. Well, let's start at 1. And Ahiah visited Sarah. I'm doing the words of him. And Ahiah visited Sarah as he had said, and Ahiah did unto Sarah as he had spoken. See, he visited and he did. No man's works was involved with that. Just please don't stun that baby. Just like when it came to Mary, no man was involved with that covenant. The word brought forth through Sarah, just like with Sarah. So with Mary, no man was involved. With Sarah, his word brought forth, though he used Abraham, it was his word, his doing. Because remember, her womb was closed. So though Abraham went up to his wife and they attempted, there was no fruit. And with Eve, that neither one of them had a mother nor a father. So we must understand the importance of the father's works versus man's work. The man's work bring forth bondage. The father's work bring forth freedom. He brings forth free and liberty, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, verses 3. And Abram called, verse 2. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which Ahiah had spoken to him. So it manifests in its season. All right. Verse 3. And Abraham called the name of his son. When I said it, I was talking about his word, not calling Isaac our father, no it. Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, and Sarah bare to him Isaac. Verse 4. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old. So who was the first one to receive their circumcision according to 8 days? Isaac was. Lest there had been a servant in the house that was born, but chances are Isaac's the first one. I guarantee you. Through my faith and what I'm receiving through the Father, I can just testify that Isaac had to be the first one 8 days old. Because as he was mentioning this ordinance to Abraham, he was talking about the seed he was going to give to him. All right. And Abraham was 100 years old when it was his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, the husband of my soul hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should give have given children suck, for I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. Now, remember, Isaiah 28, really quick. Isaiah 28, verses 9. So this feast was not just a feast of him no longer on the milk, but it's a feast also in celebration that he's able to learn also the things of the Most High. Because we've always trained our children in the word. Okay? That's why he said to Sarah, let me I pray you to take the child to go learn of the father with Shem, and basically to tell, let me take the child real quick. Because remember, I just celebrated the feast. This is what we do, okay? Isaiah 28, verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. So Isaac literally being weaned from the milk, they probably say approximately like a good 3 or 4, is not only able to eat solids by the flesh, but also able to eat the receive the bread of the spirit, the word, the wisdom of the Most High. All right. And verse 9 of Genesis 21. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking. When you see that mocking, it is the same mocking that our nation is right now dealing with, as we have been, in travail to be delivered, as our deliverance is drawing nigh by the judgment being poured upon these nations. They hear the breath of the word coming out of the mouth of the ministers like a flame of fire, and they mock at us. They laugh at us, and they say, oh, they are there's this just call, and they're trying to use racism to identify themselves in the Bible, and they all this old nonsense. That's the mocking, the same mocking that Hagar did against Isaac. Okay. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And Ahiah said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight. Commandments of Ahiah are not grievous. It was not grievous for him to take Hagar. No, it should not be grievous for you to release her. Hearken, what he said, that Sarah has said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. In other words, in Isaac shall thy seed be chosen or elected. Because many are called, but only few are chosen. So he was a father of many nations, but there's only one chosen seed. And that was Isaac. And also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. See? Because he is thy seed. He ain't tell her that. He ain't tell Hagar that. He rebuked Hagar. Go back to your maiden, your master, and serve her. And remove that haughty mindset. Because after all, you are Egyptian. And we know how them Egyptian women was. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and bottled water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle and cast it on the child under the shrubs. Okay. All right, so we're not going to go too further into that. I just want to be going through into that. So I'm going to look at my notes. So, bottom line, when Sarah received that the fruit of her flesh because though it came from the flesh of Abraham, because they are one flesh, it was really the fruit of her flesh, not Abraham's. And notice he said with Abraham, because he is thy seed, I will establish a covenant with him. So that was the father actually showing mercy upon Sarah. Because he could have said, the same way he said unto Abraham, Adam, because thou hast listened to thy wife, I'm going to bring forth this judgment. And to the wife, boom, bow. But see, that has already gone forth. By him telling Eve, I will have your childbearing be in pain, and you will be bound to your husband. So because women, us who are wives, are bound to our husbands, whether he do something we like or not, it is still our responsibility to be not maidens or servants to them as unto Hagar was to Sarah, or Vashti unto her king, but be like Esther, aka Hadassah, and serve and be subject with a contrite, broken, pure heart. And the father definitely can touch the heart of man, like he did over here with Abraham. Listen to thy wife. If you are saying something to your husband and he is not understanding you or hearing you, go in prayer and fast. And I assure you, the Father will touch the heart of him and he will turn towards you. Just like Hadassah, when the decree went forth and the time we're approaching, which is time of Purim, when the wicked wicked Haman brought forth a word of pure, he cast pure against our people to be killed because of our laws made us different. Our laws made us justified. We were not doing nothing. He wanted to kill us because we were not, because Mordecai refused to bow to man. So he wanted to come for all of us. And what did Hadassah do, known as Hester? She basically humbled herself and went in prayer and fasted. And the father touched the heart of the king to allow her to come forth. So let us, daughters of Sarah, bring forth the will of the Father by righteous intents, and seek the Father for his will to be done through us. Not us seek our own will and be forth and be like bond women, but be free women according to the will of the Father. Okay, I just want to share that. Also, remember when he said to us in Deuteronomy chapter 6, let me get that. What's this? He said, teach them to children. Okay, verse 8, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be frontlets between thine eyes. So a sign upon thy hand is just like today, wedding rings. Let me turn my face on this one. There has been a few gentlemen, and I say that compassionately, out of a heart of mercy, who have spoken against and have a distaste for giving their wife a token of or a symbol of marriage by a ring. They'll say, hey, I just give you a child, and we don't see nowhere else where they done this. However, it's not foreign that tokens were given. We even see when it came to Jacob being beguiled by one of his sons, Judah's maidens, she was more righteous by asking for a token, which was, I guess, his staff. Anywho, when the Father says, let this be bound upon your hand, it is like the symbol of a ring for a husband and wife. So symbols are not wicked. Let us not be simple to say, oh, that's pagan, because things that are pagan, the Father forbids us from, or things that take us from worshiping of him. The Father instituted marriage. So there's nothing pagans will do to uphold the very thing the Father did, because pagans actually try to destroy the marriage in their foolish little rituals, because it's coming against the construct of the Father's creation after all. However, also my point, what I wanted to mention was in verses 8, it says, and they shall be frontlets between thine eyes. When we look at Genesis chapter 20, verses 16, after Sarah was to be lied about concerning who she was to Abraham, Abimelech said, behold, my land is before thee, dwell there, it is pleasant with thee. Verse 16, and unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of thy eyes unto all that are with thee, and with all other. Thus she was reproved. So he said, he is thy covering of thy, he's the seer after you. He's as frontlets between our eyes. So the word is our seer, our overseer. The head of every man is the word. The head of every man is, every woman is the head of the man. The head of every woman is the man. So we look at the word of the Father, it's, you have to see the constitution or the construct of marriage, the order of marriage, which simply is bound into our eyes. When a woman is married, when she's coming down the aisle, as traditionally we know, in the place where we are, she puts on a veil. And her eyes are covered until she goes to the man and he lifts back the veil to uncover. He uncovers her veil because it's representation to say, I am your seer now. I am your head of protection. I'm going to see about your life, see about your whereabouts and everything concerning you. I am your head. So you are in submission to me by allowing me to uncover you, as well as the man in privacy takes her into the chambers and goes into her. So the word is our covering by our eyes. So that means, think about it. This is what the Father was giving me an idea when he was waking me up. And it's when a woman and man are married, you know how us women are. I'm going to just keep it real. We're the kind of men be like, babe, when you go out, don't be looking at nobody, whatever. Or when you go somewhere and women are unseemly, you be like, you're exposing yourself to my husband's eyes. I don't want that. I don't like that. We don't like that kind of stuff. Wives don't play that with these loosey-goosey maidens out, or mistresses out here, whatever you want to call them, floating and taunting themselves around. So when a man has the word as his head, his eyes are subject by the law that he will not see that kind of stuff. That's why it is important for a woman to be equally yoked to a man who is yoked to the word of the Father. An unequal yoke is simply a man who is, or a woman who is not bounded by the word. And then when you get with them, their unequalness to the word, their unbound to the word, will cause the yoke of oneness to be unequal. It will not be one. It would be as though it's two. It's not supposed to be no two. It's supposed to actually be one. It's not a 50-50 thing. Okay. So when Abimelech reproved Sarah, he said, he's your covering. She already stated, she already knew, like, this is not right, or shouldn't be, have to be lied on or lied about concerning, So the reproof actually went to Abraham. The same way the Father dealt with Adam concerning Eve. Hey, you were her covering. So not only were you her covering, but then you listened to her. You listened to her voice in disobedience to me. That was not being a head. When men do not obey the word of the Most High concerning their wives, they cause their wives to err And when women do not obey the word of the Most High concerning their husbands, they cause their husbands to err. And the disobedience is punishable to both. That's righteous with the Father. It is better for us wives to not be angry with our husbands when they correct us. And it is righteous, husbands, when you are in error, for you to take heed to your wife when she corrects you according to righteousness, not to usurp authority over you, but to as you are her brother as well, to say, hey, this is not according to word. Wisdom speaking to you in a nurturing way, hear it now, or else the Father will bring forth his wrath. And then we both be punished. It was wise when Abigail knew she was dealing with a foolish man. Her husband was foolish, but yet she covered him. Though he did not cover her, she didn't get like Beyonce and say, independent, throw your hands up at me. She wasn't on that type of time. She covered him. And because she covered him, she was covered. That's the mindset of having oneness that we as a nation must now have with the word, first and foremost, with each other. And when the Father sees us as able to have it with each other, we then make a beautiful nation. We as husbands and wives, as a nation, we didn't have it all figured out. We can't establish marriages in the Constitution under our oppressor's way. We allowed them to be the third in our marriages, and we allowed things that we thought under the trending fashions of marriage to be the forefront of the frontlets of our eyes. But it's now time to remove those veils. Allow Haya to remove those veils and bring forth the frontlet of his word in the foundation construct of our marriages. And word is true. What he puts together, no man can put asunder. If the Father has not put you with a certain person, and that is not bone of your bone and flesh of your flesh, it is righteous for you to remove yourself. If the person remains dead, we're going to get into that, you are no longer bound. Now, let's go to John chapter 8. I'm nearly wrapping this up. We're getting almost done. And thank you for your patience. Oh, I am in pain, but I'm pushing through. Oh. Okay. Just want to get my notes in order, beloveds. Just bear with me. Okay. All right, I want to read Galatians chapter 4, verse 26. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put the covering thing back on, whatever you want to call that. Galatians 4:26. And I want to give an open testimony and praise report to my Father for the great and good and beautiful things he is doing in my marriage. I had, in these past few days, you have not seen me. I was doing something for the Father, unto the Father, to work on behalf of me. And to give an idea, it was something like what Hadassah did for my sisters out here and my brothers as well. If you are experiencing things in your home or things regarding to your family that threaten the very thing the Father has given you, like that serpent who was subtle and approached Eve that was to destroy the construct of the dominionship between Adam and with his wife unto the Father. So when you see that had happened there in the very beginning, it's not nothing new under the sun. The enemy continues to try to bring forth strife and contention and disruption in the homes. And because of that, I went to the Father and I saw his face. And not only did he touch the heart and heal some things concerning my family, but he also healed an issue between a mother of the girls who I immersed and we were not able to see, and spoke with her. I spoke with her yesterday. And the Father has brought forth peace between us. And I have gained a sister. And a sister, by means, I say, those who operate in the character of my Father and receive his people. He said, they receive you, they shall be blessed. If they don't, they will be cursed. And because of that, I am truly grateful to the Father. He has heard my prayer and my cry. And he is definitely able to touch the hearts of man, woman and man, children, to bring forth his will in the earth. So I just want to share that beautiful testimony with you all. Oh, praises to the Father. So Galatians 4:26, it says, let me go up a bit to let's go to verse 17. They zealously affect you, but not well. Yeah, they would exclude you, that ye might affect them. But it is good to be zealously affected always in good thing, and not only when I am present with you. My little children, it is good to be persecuted, in other words, zealously against, because the zeal of the wicked ones is due to the fiery wickedness of whom they are. So if they're zealously against you, that means you are a strong effect to them. You are a major factor against their kingdom, for them to zealously come against you. 18. But it is good to be zealously affected always in a good thing, and not only when I am present with you. Verse 19. My little children, of whom I had travailed in birth again, until Messiah be formed in you. I desire to be present with you now, and to change my voice, for I stand in doubt of you. Tell me that ye that desire to be under the Torah law, do ye not hear the Torah law? Wow. How do you desire the law without hearing the voice of the one who it is? Come on. Come on, Paul. In other words, those who rely and only take heed to the law by translation or understanding of themselves, but you don't even hear the voice of the one who speaks unto you. Dear goodness, you are certainly under the law by the curse. You are still bound by the curse, because through the Spirit, the law is fulfilled. And spirit of who? The Father, for he is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. John 4:24. All right. Verse 22. For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. Verse 23. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he of the free woman was by promise. So the flesh likes to laugh at the promise. Oh my. Hagar, you want to scoff and mock and roll your eyes. Hey, you nations, you want to scoff and mock and ridicule us and put us and taunt us in your media and in your music and in your all your means and ways to do so. Even back to blackface. However, the promise still remains. For we are the manifestation of his promise. And we're going to get that too. Oh, yes. We're going to get that over there in Deuteronomy 32. Bear with me. Over here, verse 24 in Galatians 4. Which things are an allegory, for these are the two covenants. The one from Mount Sinai, which gendered to bondage, which is Agar. This is Agar here, but it's really Hagar. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answered to Jerusalem, which now is and is the bondage with her children, which is in bondage with her children. Boom. Who is that? That is us. We are the ones who are in bondage by the first covenant. By why? It was broken. According to what? The flesh. Right? Verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. Understand this. By the sin of Eve, he told Adam, in Genesis 3:15, for this, because you have listened to your wife, I have cursed the ground for your sakes. So the very thing that we came from, because he formed Adam out of the dust of the earth. So not only was Adam cursed, but the earth was cursed, and that where he came from was cursed. We come from Jerusalem, family. And because we did not keep the ordinance in Leviticus 26, you can read that. As he had commanded us, he said, I will even send 7 more plagues upon you. 7 more, even 7. 7 times 7. Come on, you read it and you'll see. He kept adding 7, 7, 7, 7. Here we are in our strange land, this strange land, right? Cursed. So is the land cursed for our sakes. Because why? In Deuteronomy 11, he said to us, if we would do what he said, keep his commandments and diligently hearken to his voice, he would send forth the rain and the earth would yield its fruit. The earth has not been yielding its fruit because of the curse of us. Not only us, but also the curse of Adam. But yet, the curse of Adam has been undone by the sacrifice of Yeshua, our Savior. And he said, I go to prepare a place for you. John 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in Ahia, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have not told you. I go to prepare a place for you. He said, if it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. Remember, when Adam and Eve disobeyed, he put them out of the garden. So by Yahshua's sacrifice, he was able to prepare a place to receive us because we are no longer bound by the curse after Adam. People think they need to talk about a curse of the law. No, there's a curse before that. See, Adam broke the curse of the law, the commandment of the Most High, keep and till the earth. So there's a curse in the earth that testifies against those who are still cursed according to the word of the Most High. And this is why in Psalms 104, let me get that on my second sword. I'm over here two-handed with it. Psalm 104. Okay, almost there. Verse 35 says, let the sinners be consumed out of the earth, and let the wicked be no more. Bless thou Ahia, O my soul. Praise ye Ahia. Once the wicked and the sinners are gone, the earth will yield its fruit. Then you shall bless Ahia. Right? But it says, Jerusalem which above is free, right? Jerusalem shall come down, the new city. Remember, we are pilgrims and strangers on this earth. Why? Because this earth is still fashioned to the curse of Adam, for those who still be after the manner of the flesh, those who are not born again. Now go with me to John 4, and I'm going to end this. After we hit John 4, we're going to hit Deuteronomy 32, and I'm going to be done. Thank you, Father. Help me get through this. Oh, my body, help me. Stand up. It's John chapter 8. Pardon me. John chapter 8. Is it saying? Let me see. John 8:35. And a servant abideth not in the house forever, but the son abideth forever. In other words, the bondman will not abide forever. He shall perish, but a son shall have everlasting life. A son of who? A son of the Father, the Creator. I am that I am. John chapter 3. Let's go there. I need to get another one in John. I believe this is what I'm looking for. Yes. Yasha answered and said unto them, him, verily, verily, I say unto you, truly, truly, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Ahia. Okay. This is the importance, family. The Father has taken us through the word for us to see the importance of being born again. Because the sons of Adam are cursed. And the earth has been cursed because of the sons of Adam. Then the children of Jacob have brought forth a curse in the earth. Oh, the sons of Noah. Thank you, Father. From Adam to Noah. From Noah to the children of Jacob. The creation has corrupted itself by the knowledge of evil. The fruit has not stopped producing the corruption after Eve has taken of it. But the fruit that he is looking for is of his spirit, which is of his word, that will spring up to everlasting life. Deuteronomy 32. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom, and their fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Keep that in mind. Why? Because their fruit, their vine is talking about the source, family. The source of the wicked knowledge, the knowledge of evil, of good and evil, is bitter. It is wicked. It's sodomy. It's not. Sodomy is also not just man with man and woman with woman, but it is unnatural. It's opposite of the order. To be outside of his commandment is sodomy to him, because you're not in order. And that is a very construct of what the wicked ones have done. Now, Psalm 51 really quick. There's something he wants me to pull out in Psalm 51. And then we'll be done. And we'll proceed and let you guys go. Thank you for your time. Thank you for running with me and reading with me and being respectful in the chat. I appreciate that. Okay. Let me see. All right. Verse, let's see. Let's go with verse 10. Create in me a clean heart, O Ahia, and renew within me. Renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from your presence, and take not your Holy Spirit from me. When David said this, he was basically saying, don't allow me to be dead. Because remember, when he breathed into Adam, he became a living soul. So David said, I don't care if I'm still alive, and not like Eve, like I'm not surely dying yet. I am dead if your spirit's not with me. And this is the mindset and attitude that we all need to have. Day in and day out. Verse 12. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. We're not talking like a bondman here now, are we? See, the Spirit of the Father gives us freedom from what? No, gives us liberty from the curse. And everywhere the sole of your feet shall tread shall be yours. Blessed shall be your basket. Blessed shall you be coming in and going out. Okay. Let me get one more. He wants me to get one more. Let's see. Psalm 119:37. Psalm 119:37. Turn away my eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken thou me in the way. Establish thy word unto thy servant, who is devoted to thy fear. Turn away my reproach which I fear, for thy judgments are good. Behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness. And that's all I wanted to share with the Father. Let the Father's Spirit go from here to the rest, and just marinate in your hearts and bring forth the fruit that is required to come out of the seeds that we have planted today. And just remember, brothers and sisters, that no man, I'm on my way. No man shall see the kingdom unless he be born again. And born again is quickened again according to his word, his fashion, his planting, his, okay, I'm coming, sweetie, his hands. Love you all. Have a wonderful set apart day. In the name of Ahia, I bear Yeshua by the spirit of my Father, which is Ahia. So be it. Happy set apart day and rest. Love you all.